Hi, this is Tom Nugent, and this is part 3 of the Michigan Farm Bureau history. The 1960s and the 1970s ushered in a tremendous amount of change within the family of companies. Elton R. Smith took over as president, and by mid-1970, he took home top honors at the American Farm Bureau Federation annual meeting as the best state farm bureau in the land. That didn't come without its challenges during the course of that decade. As the 60s brought social unrest to the country, the Michigan Farm Bureau was not immune to the changes. In 1964, members felt a change of leadership was needed. At the reorganization meeting, Vice President Elton R. Smith was elected president of the Michigan Farm Bureau. Elton set the tone for the future with his sense of high responsibility passed on to staff and county leaders. Elton believed if you've got the best of agricultural leadership there is, and you hire the best staff there is available with the money you've got, then you've got to be successful. All you've got to do is turn them loose. And turn them loose he did. The first order of business was to halt the decline in membership that was facilitated by a dues increase from $12 to $20 in 1965. In a bold move, the staff chartered a plane to Chicago, taking all the county membership campaign members to the American Farm Bureau Federation annual meeting. There they organized 150 Michigan members and marched onto the delegate floor with horns, cymbals, and signs proclaiming, "Go Michigan! Go beat Ohio! We're for more Farm Bureau members in Michigan." Membership increased by 1,000 and then 2,000 in 1969. Michigan Farm Bureau reached its AFBF goal for the first time in 10 years and beat Ohio in number of members. And the spirit was revived as the Michigan Farm Bureau celebrated 50 years. Despite the changes in leadership, the fight for farmers never waned. In 1966, Governor Romney signed 2 bills supported by Farm Bureau, one to eliminate taxes on all farm personal property, and the other exempting fruit and Christmas trees, shrubs, plants, and vines from assessment. The wheat referendum, the Great Boycott, and the Michigan Constitutional Convention also rallied Farm Bureau members. In the 1960s, the Junior Farm Bureau became the Young Farmers, with an emphasis on developing leaders and the farmers of the future. Community action groups numbered over 1,500. Affiliate companies thrived, with Farm Bureau services operating 19 branch stores and elevators. Farm Bureau Insurance and Farmers Petroleum Cooperative continued to grow, and the Michigan Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Association, or MACMA, was created. As the 70s emerged, Farm Bureau was in full speed ahead. In 1971, the 450 employees of Michigan Farm Bureau and its affiliate companies moved to a new home on West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. The annual meeting moved from Michigan State University to Grand Rapids, so the nearly 3,000 members that attended each of the meetings could all be under one roof. Membership continued to grow with the introduction of Chubby Chicken as the center of the membership campaign that would help increase membership through the decade. The Farm Bureau worked hard on issues including farm property assessments, environmental concerns, tax exemption challenges, and the Michigan Agricultural Marketing and Bargaining Bill that provided the framework for commodity producers to form marketing and bargaining programs. PA 116 was also a major victory for Farm Bureau. All of the great things Farm Bureau was doing for Michigan were overshadowed by the Michigan Farm Bureau affiliate, Farm Bureau Services, mistakenly adding the fire retardant PBB to feed that led to the death of thousands of cattle. The resulting legal action and financial burden tested the family of companies, but the organization survived. Community groups declined, but the Young Farmer program continued to grow with the Outstanding Young Farmer Contest and the discussion meet. The Women's Committee sent speakers from the Speakers Bureau into classrooms, community groups, and county fairs to educate the public about agriculture. Farm Bureau Insurance continued to grow with the successful Charlie Foster series of commercials and sponsored the American and Me Essay Contest. Michigan Farm Bureau formed the Legal Defense Fund in 1977 and the AgriPac Committee in 1978. But one program that did not survive was the Farm Bureau Queen Contest, with the last crown handed out in 1977. Between 1970 and 1980, the population of rural areas had increased more rapidly than the urban areas for the first time since the 1820 census. The Farm Bureau member was changing, and Michigan Farm Bureau responded to the needs of those members. In 1986, Elton Smith retired at 75 after 22 years as the president of the Michigan Farm Bureau. To this day, he is still the longest-serving president of our organization. In 1982, Elton took a balloon ride from the ground to celebrate 72,362 members, which at that time was a record for Michigan Farm Bureau membership. Jack Laurie, a dairy farmer from Tuscola County, became the next president. Laurie started out on the county level, ran for the board when Elton Smith himself stopped by the farm and encouraged him to put his name up for consideration. Jack would oversee the evolving Farm Bureau family. Community action groups celebrated their golden anniversary with Summerfest on the grounds of the Farm Bureau Center, with 1,400 people enjoying the old-fashioned family picnic. Selected community action groups started receiving VHS tapes of the video newsletter Rural Spotlight. After a study committee recommended the creation of the Promotion and Education Committee, Janice Sanford became the first chair of P&E that involved all members in the outreach programs. 73 of 81 endorsed candidates were elected, and Farm Bureau became an endorsement sought after by candidates at all levels. In 1989, CBS 60 Minutes aired a segment called A is for Apple, which focused on Alar, a chemical used in apple production. The segment had wide-ranging effects that led to farmers working to produce a safe, nutritious, abundant food supply in the face of panic-stricken consumers, victims of unscientific scare tactics. Farm Bill 85 was a new approach that included a market-oriented price support program and was a topic that community action groups discussed in a series of 3 Farm Bureau 1985 policy alternative meetings in the summer of 1984. That involved over 1,000 Farm Bureau members. Issues Farm Bureau worked on included origin of labeling, youth employment standards, the emergence of the animal rights movement, a grain embargo of the Soviet Union, and a sluggish economy that put farmers at risk. Farm Bureau enjoyed legislative success in 1981 when Michigan's Right to Farm legislation was signed by Governor Milliken. This provided farmers who closely followed generally accepted agricultural practices the right to farm without undue harassment from nuisance lawsuits. Affiliate companies also changed with the times. Farm Bureau services could only survive the financial burden of the PVB mistake so long, and the co-ops and elevators were sold to Agriland and the company dissolved. But Farmers Petroleum continued to grow and added the crude oil division, and group purchasing turned its first profit in 12 years by concentrating on selling steel and tillage supplies. The Farm Bureau Insurance Group survived 2 tornadoes and was the first to offer federal crop insurance under new CEO Larry Thomas. Michigan Farm Bureau Insurance, and MACMA helped sponsor the short-lived Cherry Bowl at the Silverdome in Pontiac. Michigan State was featured in Cherry Bowl 1, but the series only lasted 2 games when Eastern teams Maryland and Syracuse could not attract a large crowd. The 90s started with Governor James Blanchard running against State Senator John Engler. Both candidates were interviewed by Agri-PAC county committees, with Engler getting the endorsement over the very popular Blanchard. Engler won the election, and Michigan had a governor with an agricultural background. Relations with Michigan State University had become strained when the land grant Don't Take It for Granted campaign did not regain the commitment of Michigan State's land grant mission. The appointment of M. Peter McPherson, the grandson of M.B. McPherson, Farm Bureau president in the 20s, helped the Farm Bureau regain confidence in the university. In 1994, the $70 million Farm Bureau-supported Animal Initiative started construction on campus to upgrade facilities. As Michigan's urban population continued to grow, the Michigan Farm Bureau took the annual meeting to Detroit. The Ag Showcase gave thousands of school kids and Detroit residents the chance to see agriculture up close. Only Farm Bureau would bring a live 500-pound pig into the Renaissance Center. In 1994, the organization had 127,000 members and came up with new member benefits to keep them strong. Dodge truck rebates and Blue Cross Blue Shield health plans were 2 of new programs offered. The Young Farmer program added the Outstanding Young Agricultural Leader and Outstanding Young Farm Employee Awards to reflect the changing lifestyles of members and young farmer roles in agriculture. In 1990, Profile, standing for Farm Bureau Institute for Leadership Education, was established to aid young farmers with leadership and personal development. Issues in the 90s included private property rights, and the Wetlands Task Force helped pass legislation prohibiting local governments from enacting wetland rules. Farm Bureau encouraged and supported updates to the Right to Farm Act and passage of the Groundwater and Freshwater Protection Act to promote voluntary groundwater stewardship practices. Farm Bill 1995, NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and Proposal A to reform school finance in Michigan rallied members to contact legislators and relay the grassroots policy of the Michigan Farm Bureau. Proposal A lowered taxes and saved farmers significant tax burden. Farm Bureau was also active in the No-Fault Insurance Reform Bill that contained measures to curb lawsuits and control medical costs.